So Parashat Toldot it's the only parsha that really gives us a glimpse into who Yitzchak was. There's a lot of parshas about Avram, obviously Lech Lecha, Vayera, Aderech Sarah. Certainly Yaakov has his share. The Yetzev, the rest of the parshas. Toldot really is about Yitzchak, but it's not really so much about Yitzchak. It is about him, but he's very passive in this parsha. Rivka seems to run circles around him, right, in terms of getting the bracha, right? She tells Yaakov how to dress. You don't find it in a very proactive way. You have one or two stories where Yitzchak does assert himself, digging the same wells that Avram dug, the same names, but I want to get a little bit, a glimpse into Yitzchak a little bit, and then I want to talk about the selling of the Bechor as well. The parsha begins with the words, Eilu Toldos Yitzchak bet Avram. These are the children of Yitzchak, the son of Avram. Avram Holis Yitzchak. Avram gave birth to Yitzchak. Right? Simple pasuk. Agreed? Any problems with the pasuk? Got any problems?
The trick question.
Well,
We're not
it
good
was
at
Abraham
answering.
and Sarah for one thing.
Okay. Besides that, okay.
Yeah.
It says it twice.
What?
It says it twice.
What does it say twice?
Isaac, the son of Abraham. I think God after Abraham. Sorry,
Yeah.
Abraham, God Isaac.
Obviously,
It's redundant.
It's redundant. If Yitzchak is the son of Avram, then Avram is the father of Yitzchak. Right? So what is it? Yitzchak is the son of Avram, and Avram father Yitzchak. Okay? And Rashi will deal with that. We'll see in a few moments. There's another problem. It says, Elo Toldos Yitzchak. These are the children of Yitzchak. You see anything about the children of Yitzchak? Nothing.
Right there.
Nothing. Right? You don't have any mention of the children of Yitzchak till a few psukim later on, which says Yitzchak, Yaakov was born and Esau was born. That's 5 psukim later. Right? So what's going on over here?
There's something else. Usually when we have Toldot, it's after a person's died.
Not really. Not really at all. In fact, let's use that as a springboard. We have another parsha that begins the same way. Ela told us Noach, right? He's not dying there. He's lying there, but not even well, right? Ela told us Noach.
It depends on where you pause. You could say Elah told us these are the generations and separate that from Yitzchak ben Avram.
That doesn't make sense. What does Ela told us mean? But my question like
Also,
this. What?
Shouldn't Noach be called the Parashat Toldot
Hey.
and then this be called Yitzchak?
That's cute. I like that. Right? So why is Parshas Toldot? Why is Yitzchak Parshas not called Noach? Let it be called Toldos, and let this Parsha El be called Yitzchak. Very good. All right, good question. So let's see if we can answer those questions. All right. So first Rashi. Let's see the first Rashi. Elo Toldos Yitzchak. Yaakov ve'Esav ha'amurim Parsha. So Rashi tells us these are the children of Yitzchak. It's Yaakov and Esav that are referred to later on in the Parsha. What's Rashi telling us? Rashi is bothered by the question we raised. He says, these are the children of Yitzchak. Doesn't mention the children. So Rashi says, don't get nervous. It told us means children. And it's referring to Yaakov and Esau, who are mentioned later on. So they're not mentioned yet. But the pasuk is referring to them now. They're born later on. But told us, you're right, these children. And it's referring to what they're born later on. Well, that's neither here nor there. It doesn't really answer my question, which is, so why mention them now if they're not born till later on? I will point out to you, and we'll get back to that soon, the Sefarno and others don't learn Toldos means children for this reason, because it doesn't mention children. The Sefarno and others learn Toldos means, I think, Yemei Koresav, the history of his life, his saga, his story, right? History or his story, right? Exactly, that's what it is. Elo Toldos Yitzchak. This is the story of Yitzchak. It doesn't say these are the children of Yitzchak, and the reason why they don't learn that way, for the obvious reason, doesn't mention that. Doesn't mention Yaakov and Esau. But Rashi is sticking to his guns. Rashi says Toldos normally means Toldos, means children. Here also means children. And Yaakov says, but it doesn't. Rashi doesn't mention them. He says, don't worry, it's Yaakov and Esau. They're mentioned later on. So clearly Rashi is learning Toldos means children. Sforno is learning it means the history of. We understand why Sforno learns the way he did, right? Although we would like that Toldos typically does mean children. On the other hand, if it does mean children like Rashi said, so why are they not mentioned here, or the opposite, why we refer to them now if they're not mentioned later on? So the Mefarshim, the Maral, and others address this issue in Rashi, and I believe it's the Maral says something fast. It's a Levush before that, I think, and then the Maral. But let me just put it all together. Okay, it goes like this. What the Maral wants to say at the end of the day is the reason why the Torah introduces us to Yaakov and Esau now, even though they're not born until a little later on in the Psukim, is because the Torah wants to let us know that Yaakov and Esau existed before they were born. So they're mentioned before they were born. They're alluded to before they were born. Now what does that mean? They existed before they were born. They didn't exist before they were born. So what the Maral says, what it really means is that Yaakov and Esau existed as themes in the abstract, and Yaakov and Esav are the personification of those themes. So, so even though they're not born till later on, Yaakov and Esav are two themes that we're going to become familiar with, and they're embodied by the personalities of Yaakov and Esav. And what are the two themes? So let's for now say physicality and spirituality. I'm not going to say good and evil, because good and evil would then really, it seemed to totally take away someone's free will. You're saying Esav represents evil, right? So then, where's his free will? Even if it represents physicality and spirituality, one could ask, where's the free will? If you tell me Yaakov is destined to be spiritual and Esav is destined to be physical, where's their free will? And the answer is that we don't quite know what free will. Free will does not mean you get to choose who you want to be. I would like to choose to be 6'2". It ain't happening, right? It's just not happening. I would like to have this IQ, not happening. Free will doesn't mean I get to choose to make my makeup. Free will means I get to choose with what makeup Hashem gives me, how to use it. So Esau's physicality does not have to be a handicap. His physicality or his propensity towards the physical could have been used in a very positive way also. You can do things in the physical world for a positive reason. On the other hand, you could be a very spiritual person that really is so spiritual that you can't be grounded and you don't know how to serve Hashem properly. Or you look at other ways of serving Hashem through other means of spirituality, not through Derech Hashem. So being physical, being spiritual do not automatically preclude one's fate. That, Yaakov was fated to be a great man and Esau was doomed to be a rasha. No. The fact that he was connected to the physical world didn't have to mean something evil. In fact, later on, when Yitzhak wants to bless Esav, it's not because he thinks Esav is going to end up being this Rosh Hashiva, but rather he actually envisions a tandem, a team of Yaakov and Esav together, much like a Zvul and Yisachar kind of combination, where Yaakov, with Esav, with his deftness and his skills in the physical world, would conquer the physical world and pave the way for Yaakov to address it spiritually, and they'd be a tag team together. So the reason why he mentions Yaakov and Esav before they were born is to let us know that Yaakov and Esav represent two distinct things. And to understand Yaakov and Esav is to understand the things they come from. But it doesn't preclude free will at the same time. All right? That's Rashi. We'll come back to this hopefully later on, the themes of Yaakov and Esav. But let's address the Sefarno. Sefarno learns it means the history of. So what is the history of Yitzchak? So who is Yitzchak really? So here's the great challenge. Avraham, we know, is this trailblazer. He's a trailblazer. He's the one who brings to the world monotheism and the concept of kindness in a big way. In fact, that's why he's called Ivri, because people saw him as like somebody totally different. He's on the other side of the river, right? We talked about that once. He's a trailblazer. Who's Yitzchak?
Yitzchak's a korban.
Well, he's a carbon, certainly, but what does he represent? He's not a trailblazer. As I pointed out, there's very little printed about him. In fact, almost anything you see about Yitzchak is almost a copy of Avram. In this week's Parsha, it does mention, Avram dug wells. Well, guess what? Yitzchak digs the same wells. Avram gave those wells names. Guess what? Yitzchak gave those names the same names. Well, he could be creative. He could come up with better names himself. He gives the same names. The Abarbanel, if I'm not mistaken, goes through, I'm going to say about 30, at least 30 attributes, or 30 things that Avram does, that Yitzchak does the exact same thing. If you notice, Avram says, Sarah, hey Sarah, tell everybody you're my sister. Yitzchak uses the exact same plan, right? And so you'll see many things that Yitzchak almost copies Avram. Let's even talk about the Akedah. Who told Avram to shech his son? Who told him?
Hashem.
Hashem. Who told Yitzchak he's supposed to be shechted? Hashem?
No, it
Who?
would have been his father.
Avram. What's going on over here? Yitzchak's role in life is to accept the transmission and the values that he gets from his father. What we'd call in the old days, and the old movie of Fiddler on the Roof, tradition, right? But I mean in a serious way, that Yitzchak represents Mesorah and tradition. His whole job is to create a path that we understand that our role is to hold on to Mesorah. And I want you to know, it's not an easy thing. In a certain sense, you look at the world around you, everything is always new and improved, right? They had Coke. Coke Classic was the greatest thing in the world, right? And they had to tamper with it, right? You remember that whole disaster when they had all these tests and it literally got to the Senate floor. One senator put up a thing that said they wanted to prohibit Coke from coming with a new formula. But why? Because people always search for new and improved. It's just human nature. It's fresh. It's different. We need something fresh. To hold on to the same Masorah, but keep it fresh, that's a much bigger challenge. In fact, we'll see that when Yitzchak and Rivka pray for children, it says Hashem listens to his tefillas more than hers. Why? Because Eined Doima Tefillah Tzaddik ben Tzaddik, the Tefillah Tzaddik ben Rasha. You can't compare the Tefillah of a Tzaddik, the product of a Tzaddik, to that of a Tzaddik, the product of a Rasha, meaning Rivka was a child of a Rasha, Yitzchak was a Tzaddik of Avram. There's many explanations for that, but one explanation is, in a certain sense, to be Yitzchak is harder than to be Rivka. Because Yitzchak has to be exactly what Avram was. You know, everybody wants to be their own person, right? Teenagers always bristle at the fact that, right? Anyway, we want to be independent, we want to do our own thing, and yet, no, listen to what your father says. Follow the Messiah. That's hard. That's what Yitzchak brought to the table. And that's why everything Yitzchak does is about Messiah. And that's why, in fact, you'll see twice in this parasha, if not mistaken. First of all, when it's Esav did not get his milah right away, because when he was 8 days old, Rashi tells us he was very red and it was unhealthy. I guess, I don't know, it was the blood circulation, whatever the case is. And then when he saw that he wasn't ready, he waited till he was 13 to give him milah. And then Esav said, at 13, he already had free will. I'm not taking him bris milah, right? Why did Yitzchak wait from 8 days to 13 years? Because that's all Yitzchak knew. He has a Masorah. Either you have a milah at 8 days or you have a milah at 13, like Yishmael. That's it. That's all he knew. He's not changing. Later on, when Yaakov comes in, or Esav comes around to get the bracha, and he realizes now that he gave it to Yaakov, who pretended to be Esav, it says, Vayechrad, Yitzchak, Harad, he's tremendously, he trembles, he's fearful. Why, Rashi says, Shema Shanisi Es HaSeder. He says, Oy vey, I thought, I changed the Seder Hadvarim. Means, the Seder, the Messiah is the oldest gets the Bechorah. And now I thought I messed up by giving it to Yaakov. But then when he found out Yaakov got the Bechorah too, so it really is the Bechorah, so he gets the bracha too. But what was his concern? Yitzchak, maybe I changed the Seder. Because Yitzchak is not about changing Seder. He's about keeping the Seder.
Yishmael didn't get it.
What?
Yishmael didn't get it.
What do you mean?
He didn't get it.
Yishmael's like a Seder Bechorah. He's from a different family, different mother. Right? Now we can understand maybe at the same time, to answer, what's your first name again, I'm sorry? Josh, great question. Why is Noach called Noach? And Parshas Toldot is not called Yitzchak, it's called Toldot. Because Parshas Noach is about Noach. This parsha is about not Yitzchak per se, but it's about Toldos. It's about generations. It's about the story and the history of the Jewish people of Messiah. So the reason why the parsha is called Toldos is because that's the essence of Yitzchak, was his focus on making sure there's Toldos, making sure there's generations, making sure there's a Messiah. In fact, Rashi tells us, why does it repeat? These are the children of Yitzchak, the son of Avram. Avram fathered Yitzchak. It's repetitious. So Rashi tells us, well, there were people that went around saying, hey, we know who the real father of Yitzchak was. It wasn't Avram. It was Avimelech. All these years, Avram was with Sarah, nothing happening. Avimelech abducts Sarah. She comes pregnant right away. Now, Avimelech nesabra Sarah. They all said, from Avimelech, Sarah became pregnant. So what did Hashem do in order to prevent that? Hashem made Yitzchak look like Avraham. Everyone knew who the father was. That's why it says Avram Holis Yitzchak, means everyone knew, you could see that Avram was the father of Yitzchak. I want to ask you, if that's what it really means, Yitzchak here is 40 years old. Why are you telling me this now? When Yitzchak was born, right, and 2 weeks ago in Parasha, you should have said, by the way, Yitzchak looked like Avram. Why are you telling me this now? Teretz is, when it says Yitzchak looked like Avraham, it's true physically, it might be true, but it means more than that. It means Yitzchak looked like Avraham means that Yitzchak did everything to copy Avraham. So when you saw Yitzchak in action, you knew who his father was. Because Yitzchak conducted himself in the exact same way that his father would have conducted himself. So when you saw Yitzchak, he looked like Avraham, not just physically. It means you were reminded of Avraham, because everything about Yitzchak reminds you of Avraham. And that's why it's mentioned over here. Eila Toldos Yitzchak. You want to know the story of Yitzchak? You want to know the history and the saga of Yitzchak? You know what he's all about? Avram Holis Yitzchak. The story of Yitzchak is that when you knew him, that means you knew who his father was. because he's all about Masorah, and that's why the parsha is called Toldos. That's what Yitzchak is. Yitzchak is where we get, because he passed it on to Ma'aseh Avos and Labanim. He gave us the ability to hold on to Masorah in a world that's always trying to change things, and we know they try to change Judaism also. It's got to be new and improved. The old stuff, what's the old stuff? Now we're seeing a lot of people who change things realize they got to go back to the old stuff, because they realize that the old stuff is real, the new stuff is just right. It's just veneer. But the bottom line is that idea of Masorah, that we're able to cling on to Masorah, which is not an easy thing to do. That's Yitzchak. All right, is that clear?
What
Yeah.
What really makes it extraordinary is that children who are born to famous great parents usually don't turn out that well. And he turned out okay.
Yeah, sure did. Yeah.
And it's a credit to him that he overcame that handicap, because typically children of famous
that could be. That could
don't
be.
make it.
It could be. Sometimes you feel they're in their shadow. Whatever the reasons are, that's certainly true. But that's exactly what Yitzchak was. Yes.
But then you have Yaakov, son of Yitzchak, grandson of Abraham.
Yeah. Yaakov's let's get to Yaakov later on. Yaakov represents a synthesis of both of them. He's a synthesis of both. In fact, let me actually bring out one point. It's interesting. Let's see another thing. Elu told us Yitzchak ben Avraham. Now, it's bizarre. You kind of alluded to this a little bit. Avraham is chesed, right?
Yes.
He's the ultimate chesed. Yitzchak is the opposite. It's gevura, which is very internalized, inner strength, discipline, fear, restrictedness. Chesed is the opposite. It's almost unrestricted, a flow of kindness that's almost unrestricted. And din means restricted. In fact, the word din in Gemara, dain, means this, something very specific. Because din is very specified. You get exactly what you deserve. Chesed is kind of almost, with almost not discriminating, so to speak. And din is very discriminating. So, how do you have, we said Yitzchak represents the Masorah of Abraham. Well, one second. Abraham is total chesed, Yitzchak is total din. Well, how did one come from the other? So we have to understand, what does that mean, that Yitzchak is din or yira? Where does that fear come from? Or what does that fear mean? Again, I think it's a morale, I don't recall anymore, I saw it a while back. L'mashal, let's say someone gives you a beautiful, beautiful vase. It's rather fragile, very beautiful. So you want it, you love it, you fall in love with it. You put it on your table, right, so you can look at it all the time and enjoy it. But you're also extremely careful not to mess with it because it might break, right? So the love of the vase makes you very careful not to tamper with it so it doesn't break. So the fear, if you will, comes from the love. It's because you love that you're afraid. Sometimes you love someone so much, or you have such a great relationship, you're afraid to mess it up. You don't, right? You so much appreciate the relationship, you don't want to do anything that's going to mess the relationship, right? That's what you need. You need that. In fact, sometimes that's a problem. Sometimes you have a relationship and you don't appreciate the relationship, and then you mess up. You need the proper balance between love and fear, or respect. Let's use the word respect instead of fear. You need the respect that you keep appreciating the love, or you take it for granted. As the pasuk says, Eila Toldos Yitzchak ben Avram. This is the story of Yitzchak, the son of Avram. Avraham holy Yitzchak. Understand that Avraham birthed Yitzchak. Chesed gave birth to Gvura. Ava gave birth to Yira. Avram holiness Yitzchak. It's because of Avraham that you have a Yira. Because Yitzchak took the Masorah of Avram. He loved what Avram gave him. He says, now we got to protect it. Like it. So the Yira is born out of Ava. That's what it means. Avram holiness Yitzchak. Okay? Yeah.
Where do we get it from, Yitzchak Din? Where do we get it from, Yitzchak Din? Where do we get it from?
Oh, this is din?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just all din. First of all, we spoke about a few weeks ago about the Akedah, that it's called Avram's Nisayon, not Yitzchak's Nisayon. Mm-hmm. Right? Why is it called Yitzchak's Nisayon? Because a Nisayon is something that a test runs counter to what you are. Avram's all about Chesed. He's being challenged to do something that seems to be totally opposite of Chesed, kill your child. Yitzchak is din and discipline. This is ultimate act of discipline. Right? Mm-hmm. Right? But that's what Yitzchak is. Yitzchak is all about din. It says Chazal say Yitzchak Tava Yisurin. Yitzchak demanded pain. Well, he's a masochist? No. What it means is Yitzchak saying, I'm all about din. Give me what I deserve. Don't hold back. If I deserve a punishment, give it to me. Chesed says, you deserve a punishment, I'm going to look away. Din says, no, give me what I deserve. That's Yitzchak. All right? Okay. So that's one important thing to understand who Yitzchak and Avram was. Let's do a little bit about the Bechor. You can't not do the Bechor. This is Parsha, as big as it gets. Okay, so We know.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
When the twins are born, there says that Vayikra Shemo Esav is a plural, and yet when Yaakov
Yes.
is born,
Rash takes care of that.
oh,
Doesn't
that takes it up.
Rash takes it. Rash says Rash for Yikru, and then Rash says. I think take a look. Rash says it. Yeah. Vayikru Hakol Kari Lachem. L'Vishay Nasa V'Nigmar. Right. Everyone called him that. Okay. Then Vayikra. Hakadosh Baruch Hu, or some Davracha of Kara. Rashi says that, right? Oh. So actually, let's talk about it for a second. What is Esav? Let's talk about the names of Esav and Yaakov for a second. All right. So why is it called Esav? Anybody? What does Esav mean? Anybody know?
Field?
No, that's a mistake. A common mistake. Esav. Somebody say it means grass. It doesn't mean grass at all. That's what a base is. That's b'chlal, not right. All right. Esav. Anybody know? So Rashi says. Take a look. Rashi says Esav. Hakol Korah. Everybody calls him Esav. Why? Lefi shahaya nasa v'nigmar b'saroy keben shanim harbe. He was developed and complete like a child of many years. He had a lot of hair on him, but that doesn't mean it's not called Esav because he had hair. The word Esav comes from the word asui, complete, done. He was developed. What does that mean? The physical world basically is developed. In the world of physical, everything is developed. It gets bigger, but it doesn't develop. In other words, the Gemara says, an interesting expression, Shar ben yomo ikri shar. A shar, 1 day old, an ox, 1 day old is already called an ox. It gets bigger, the ox, but an ox is an ox is an ox. So the Gemara is talking in terms of components, how old does an ox have to be? The Gemara says, Shar ben yomo, when you just call the shar, 1 day is called a shar already, right? Esav is complete. He's born complete, because he represents the physical world. The physical world is developed. In fact, the word Esav has the same gematria shalom, which means complete. And it says something about his personality too, which is, I'm complete, I'm done. Why do I have to grow? The concept of growth is a spiritual concept. Growth is not a physical. A person doesn't grow. I mean, you physically expand, but it's not. I mean, grow in an emotional, developmental, spiritual. That doesn't apply to the physical world. Esav feels complete. I'm done. He's not looking to grow. I'm done. I am who I am. Right? That's Esav. He's asui. Yaakov comes the word akev, which is heel. We know that because he's holding onto the heel. But there's a yud in front of it. The yud represents spirituality because the yud is a dot in conceptually of the letters. It doesn't take up any space. Yaakov's job is to infuse the spiritual into even the lowest part of physicality, the heel, which is the lowest part of physical. Yaakov's supposed to infuse the yud into the akev. All right? So you have Yaakov and you have Esav. Okay. Let's talk about for a second about the sale of the Bechira. So what happens is, if you look up on page 126, Pasuk Chav Tes, Vayazid Yaakov Nazid, Vayavay Esav and Asada, V'ayef, and Yaakov is cooking this stew, and Esav comes to feel and he's hungry. He's exhausted rather. Vayam Esav Yaakov says, Yaakov, give me this red stuff, because I'm exhausted. Al Kain Karshma, Edom, that's why he's called Edom, he's called red, because let me have this red stuff. But Yaakov says to Esav, okay, sell me this birthright today, we'll make a deal. Vayam Esav, sure. I'm going to die anyway. Who needs Bechira? Yaakov says, swear to me like this day, and he swears, he sells his birthright to Yaakov. Yaakov nasal Esav, and Yaakov gave to Esav lechem and dizarashim, he gave him bread and beans. Vayachal he ate, vayesh he drank, vayakam, vayelach he got up and he left, vayivaz his bechira, and he mocks the bechira. End of story. The story, obviously, I think, without even saying anything, is fraught with symbolism. We all sense there's a crossroads here. There's something really meaningful going on. Esav sells his bechira to Yaakov. The birthright, which, by the way, we know Esav is the father of Edom, and Edom is the father of the Christian nation. To this very day, the Esav of the world resent us because they think we have the Bechorah. On a very deep level, the Christians at one level still think, they think of us, they refer to us as their brother, or their younger brother, right? And they really feel legitimate that the birthright belongs to them. All right, that's really on a very deep level. But let's go on, even on this level here with Yaakov and Esav, what's going on over here? So Esav comes in, he's really exhausted, and Yaakov seems to be rather devious about this, takes advantage of a vulnerable, hungry, fatigued Esav.
Where's the chesed
when you need it?
Strong arm him for his birthday.
Yeah, strong arm is a brother, he says, you want some food? It's like almost extortion, right? Absolutely extortion. And he says, let me have this stuff. He says, not before you sell me birthright. And he says, I'm going to die anyway. Now, what does he mean I'm going to die anyway? Was he being overly overly dramatic? What do you mean he's going to die because if he doesn't have any soup at this moment, this beings? What does he really mean? Okay, so just a couple of points. First of all, it's interesting. It says, "V'hu ayef." If you look at the pasuk in Chavtes, it's a little bit unnecessary. The Yazad Yaakov Nazad. Yaakov is cooking a stew. By the way, he's cooking a stew. This is not a setup. This wasn't planned. This is because he's cooking a stew. Why? Because he's in Avelus. Avram just passed away this day, and he's in Avelus. He's in mourning, and more specifically, his parents are in mourning, and mourners are not supposed to cook. So Yaakov is doing the cooking. All right, and that's why it's beans, because beans is a mourner's food. All right, it represents the cycle of life. So he's cooking, and Esav comes to the field. Vayava Esav marasada. It should say Vayava Esav marasada ayef, and Esav comes to the field, exhausted. What does it say? V'hu ayef. And number two, if he wants food, it should say he's hungry, not he's tired. Say V'hu ra'ev. He's hungry, right? Not V'hu ayef. More to the point, he's hungry. He wants food. Now, I'm not saying he's not tired, but why not speak to the point? And then later on, also, Esav says, Ki ayef anoichi, because I am exhausted. Now, the word anoichi means I, but so does the word ani mean I. Right? When do you use the word anoichi? When do you use the word ani? We'll see this is a really important point. And then when Esav says, I'm going to die, like I said, was he being overly dramatic? Well, some say, well, he was a hunter. Occupational hazard as a hunter is you could hunt or be hunted. And, he, at any moment he could die. It could be that, certainly. And on that level, you could even say that Esav really loved the thrill of the kill. And he loved living on the edge. And this idea of a hunter being hunted was something that thrilled him. And it's kind of, sometimes we don't understand that. But I always say, I never could understand people that bungee jump. Like, what are you, out of your mind? What are you, crazy? And I've watched them bungee jump. And when they're coming down, there is sheer terror in their eyes. They're not beaming with sight. They're terrified. But they love it. You know why? It's a brush with death. And sadly enough, that's what makes them feel alive. Instead of feeling alive because they're alive, they need to feel alive by having this brush with death. It's kind of sad. Esav needs to live on the edge, all right? But on a deeper level, when he says, behold, I'm going to die, he doesn't say I'm going to die. He says, I'm heading towards death. Hine anochi holech lamas. I'm heading towards death. That's a very profound statement, because he's right. In the physical world, we are all marching on to death. Everything about us is constantly dying. Our cells are dying, right? There's something called entropy. We know that energy dissipates. We're aging. Everything in the physical world is heading towards death. And he sees himself as a physical specimen. As a physical specimen, he's pronouncing, I am heading towards death. My very essence is one of exhaustion. The physical world is constantly exhausting itself. The difference between ani and anochi, I think the Chinuch says is by the Sefer Dibros, something like this. Ani is usually associated with a verb, ani holech, ani ochel. And the emphasis on what you're doing, on the verb, I'm eating, I'm drinking. Anochi means, it is the I. Anochi Hashem Elokecha. The emphasis on the I. Anochi ayef, not I am hungry, but I am exhausted. My essence is exhaustion. Because if you're a physical person, you're living an exhausted life. Because the physical world, by definition, is one of exhaustion. Unlike the person that lives a spiritual life. Because then you're tapping into a flow that's continuous and forever. It's kind of like, I was an example of a wind-up toy. When you wind it up and it starts doing this kind of thing, even as it's doing this, it's winding down, even as it's doing this. It's holech lamos, right? But if you take a toy and you plug it into the outlet, that toy continues, because you plug in something spiritual. So Esav sees himself as a holech lamos. Yaakov sees himself as just the opposite. And so, let's go back to, you waiting for something?
I need some people. How much longer do you expect?
I need to finish in 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes.
Okay.
All right?
So as soon as you finish, come over.
All right? So I want to finish 5 minutes, let you guys go. I don't want you to hold you from my... Okay, so let me see if I can capture this. But the question is, it seems like a little extortion, it seems a little unfair. And I would ask another question. If I walked into a store and said, I want to buy that Sefer Torah, okay, what do you want to pay for it? I'll give you a bag of potato chips, right? That's the most insulting thing you can say to equate a Torah with potato chips. Isn't Yaakov insulting this great spiritual legacy called the Bechorah? He says, I'll buy it for a bowl of beans. It's almost like it's an insult to the Bechorah, right? The Bechorah is a spiritual legacy. That's what it is. It's a spiritual legacy. It's the birthright. It's a spiritual legacy. What's going on over here? So 2 points. Number one is, um, if you knew, let's real quickly, if a guy finds a Sefer Torah buried in the ground someplace, and he does his due diligence, tries to find the owner, and it's very clear that it's ownerless. It's been left there for 100 years, and everyone's moved on from this territory for 100 years. So he's entitled to keep it. Then you find out that his kids love this Torah, but they love it so much that they play with it, they jump on it, they draw on it, and obviously it's killing you. So you knock on the door and say, listen, do me a favor. I know you don't realize it, but it's very precious to us. I'm willing to pay for it $10,000. Not interested. 20, not $50,000. I'm willing to pay $100,000 for it. He says, let me tell you something. Thank God we're multimillionaires. I don't need your money. This is a good luck charm for us. We love it. I'm not selling for any money in the world. Would you be permitted to steal that Torah? Steal it. What do you think?
You can't.
Can't.
The guy found it, owns it, he found it.
He found it fair and square.
No, you can't take it.
Can't take it. No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I'll go yes.
Yes. Okay. Let me ask another question. Okay, you're on the beach with your friends, and you're going to have a little child. Swimming out there in the water, and you're resting down on the beach, resting up, and your friends in the water having a great time. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, this massive wind starts whipping up the waves, and it's one big danger zone, and your friend is frantically waving for help. He's drowning. Now you can't go in because you're going to drown as well. The only thing to do is there's a life preserver you can throw out there, which will save his life. The problem is the life preserver is in a store. Okay, the problem is the store is locked because it's after hours. Could you break into the store, steal the life preserver to save his life?
Yes.
No brainer. Everyone says yes. Everybody who said no before says yes now. Why? Because everyone says save a life. That takes precedence for sure, right? Now, happens the Gemara discussed the Shaila. It's not very clear. At the end, most postscripts seem to say, of course you can. Of course you have to pay restitution. If you ripped it, if you damage, you have to pay for any damage. But yes. So everyone understood that saving a life is more valuable than stealing in this case, and that would be okay. Well, I didn't expect you to know this, but how have I told you that a Sefer Torah has such value that to protect its dignity, that's not destroyed by children, not jumping on everything else, you're permitted to steal as well. Now, even then, the stealing would only have to be done away in a clandestine way, which wouldn't involve Chilul Hashem. Assuming you can get away with that, right? So you'd be permitted to steal that Torah. How do I know that's true? Rabbi Yehuda Chassid says, you know where he learns that halakha from? This story. The fact that Yaakov takes the bracha, the bechor away from Esav, yes, with a little bit of extortion, because he's rescuing a bechor that's going to be abused by an Esav. This is where you learn it from. So even if you say there was extortion, which we'll see later on, it really wasn't, who says he's not allowed to?
How old were they when this took place?
So this is, I once made a cheshbon. They're
175.
20s. No.
And, Isaac was 60 when they
He gave birth. I made the cheshbon once, and I messed up with the... What?
15.
More older, a little older. I think a little older,
15.
yeah.
So what you're saying is
that right?
15, yeah.
that
The math is
Yaakov
15.
understood
Yes.
his personality.
Correct.
That he wasn't worthy.
Right.
And this was an opportunity to take it.
I'm not
away.
aware that he was abusing it, but I'm going to give you, 1 second, let me, the cherry on the cake right here, okay? It goes like this. There's an expression, lefum tzara agra, which means the harder it is to do a mitzvah, the more reward you get. Which typically, we understand, a very simple way is, if you work hard for mitzvah, Hashem gives you 1 gold star. If you work really hard, you'll get 2 gold stars from Hashem. And you work really, really hard, right? Hashem, let's share with you a more profound way of understanding that. Okay, a story. I think I want to share with you a story. Let's do this very quickly. Somebody, it's a point. Really, I think it drives home the point. Somebody, there was a chassid that had very little money. He had to marry off his daughter. So he goes to Rebbe, he complains, I don't have any dowry to offer, I have no money to make a wedding, nobody wants my daughter. So Rebbe pulls out a gold coin from his pocket and says, here, take this gold coin, and I want you to do the first business deal, that'll solve your problems. The guy's thinking, this gold coin, what's it worth, $10, $20? It's not going to do anything, but the Rebbe said, so he walks around all day, wants to do business, and everyone's laughing him up, what are you crazy? So at the end of the night, he's exhausted and dejected, and he stops into a crotch. A crotch is like a broken down inn. In the Poland, they have these little broken down inns where there's a little bar on the side, there's an oven in the middle, you could kind of warm up, and if you had to afford a bed, you slept in bed, if not, you slept in the corner over there. That's kind of what it was. He goes to the crotchman, some guys are drinking at the bar, they see this Jewish guy, and they feel like he's a good sport. They make sport of him. They go, hey, what are you doing here? Well, I'm come do business. They start laughing him up. Are you crazy? And when they say, oh, you want to do business? Yeah. He says, well, I'm Jewish too. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll sell you my world to come for that gold coin, because I don't care about it anyway. The guy says, this is not going to buy me a wedding, but the Rebbe said first deal. So he says, fine. And by the way, there is a legal way of making that kind of deal. They construct a deal, done. Anyway, the guy gets the gold coin, buys a round of drinks for his friend, a couple of rounds of drinks, they're really happy. He comes home, his wife says, boy, you're in a great mood. He says, yeah, of course I'm in a great mood. Why? I had a couple of rounds of drinks. Why, what happened? He said, I saw my what? You did what? I said, honey, we're not religious, we don't care about these things. You sold your soul, you out of your mind? Get it back! Goes back, says, actually, I made a mistake. My wife's not so happy with this. Right? I made a mistake. I'm sorry, the rabbi. Okay, I get it, fine. Here's 5 gold coins. Now let's do it. I'm sorry, no. Here's 10 gold coins. 20. No, forget it. He goes back to his wife. She says, what happens? He says, he doesn't want to do it. She says, you don't see it. I'm not living under the same roof with an idiot that's willing to give up his eternity. What are you, out of your mind? Gotta go back. Goes back again. 30, 40, 50. Guy says, no. Because, listen, we tried 50. I'm not paying him more. She says, you don't understand. You can't. You can't give up your whole life for this, your whole eternity. But we're not religious. But we're not giving up your eternity. He said, but the rabbi, she said, can we speak to his rabbi? Said, I guess so. So they run back and said, do you mind we speak to your rabbi? Said, no, not at all. They go to the rabbi. She explains the situation. The rabbi goes, I think I may have a way to solve your problem. Does a couple of these things here, makes a little bit wiser. I think it will do. This is what you do. This is what you do. You go like this. He says, I just have a sneaky suspicion. If you offer to pay for their entire wedding and pay for the dowry, I think I could convince them to make the swap. And the guy goes, no, you out of your mind? Forget it. She goes, 1 second. And she turns to me and says, understand, I know it's a crazy amount of money, but you can't, you can't give up your whole eternal life. She seriously realized she's right. So they said, okay, we're going to do it. So they're about to consummate the deal, shake hands. She goes, Rabbi, wait! I said, okay, what's the matter? I have to ask you one question. Okay, ask. Is my husband's world to come worth all this money? So Rabbi said, I'll tell you the truth. Up until this moment, probably not. But now that he's willing to pay so much for it, it is worth that much. In other words, your world to come and mitzvahs in general are only as valuable as you value it. The more that you value it, the more impact it has. Yaakov was saying to the world and to Esav, I'll show you the birthright's worthless to you. If you're willing to sell it for a bowl of beans, then what value does it have to you? It is only a bowl of beans. So Yaakov's not trying to shortchange him. He's not trying to, to get highway robbery. He's proving that the birthright's not worth more. But the reverse is true as well. The harder you work for something, it's not you get more gold stars, but the harder you work for something, the more that shows you value it. And the more you value it, the more you increase its impact. The more that you value Shabbos, the more Shabbos is impacted to you. The harder you have to sacrifice for Shabbos, more that is impacted for you. And the more you're going to appreciate it as well, in this world and the world to come. That's the lesson of the Bechorah. We'll stop here because I need a minyan to be continued.